I don't like this game, Leaf cried. I don't want to play. Let him go, Allie demanded. What kind of monster are you? The hunter only gave her a slight tooth smile, then turned to Leaf again. The stone. With no choice, Leaf went to the stone, just like Nick did, and tried to lift it. He grunted in frustration with each grasp, and Ellie suddenly found herself thinking of that stupid arcade game, that can recall, where a claw tried to scoop up a stuffed animal. The claw almost always came up empty-handed, and so did Leaf. No! The hunter's goons were on him, and although Leaf and Ellie tried to fight them, there were just too many of them. Leaf was plunged into another barrel, kicking and screaming and sloshing brine across the floor until they nailed on the lid. Allie could hear the sobs from within the awful brine. Then the dark figures pulled open the lid of the third barrel and waited. Bring me the stone, the hunter said to Allie. And there's a saying, and I'm going to talk about that later. So, Allie always prided herself on being cool in a crisis and coming through when it really mattered. She had to figure the angle here. She had to think them all out of this. I'll bring you the stone if you release my friends. The hunter did not move, did not bat an eyelash. Allie knew that she was in no bargaining position. Yet still the hunter said, agreed, your friends for the stone. So that was it then. She had brought them here, and only she could get them out. Grabbing the stone was like trying to grab a shadow. Her fingers passed through it again and again, and she found herself angry at the stone, a stubborn piece of the living world, refusing to admit that she existed. I am, she wanted to shout at it. I exist, and I will move you. Still her fingers passed through it again and again. Enough, said the hunter, and his goons advanced on her. Move, you stupid stone, move. Allie, thank you. Allie forced every ounce of her out of her to where the tips of her fingers and closed them again over the smooth rock, and again her fingertips failed her. But this time the stone wobbled. Suddenly the goons stopped moving, and the hunter stood up. The entire world seemed perched at the tips of Allie's fingers. Go on, the hunter said. Allie reached for the stone one more time. She made it wobble. She had moved it. The knowledge that she had done it gave her the inkling of faith that she might do it again. This time she reached for it with not just her fingertips, but with both hands, and she tried to scoop it up in her palms. I will not leave my friends in those barrels, she told the stone. I will not be a victim of this master child. You will rise off the floor. And it did. Although the stone sank deep into her ghostly hands, it came off of the ground. Ellie did not let her excitement break her concentration. She held her will in the palms of her hands along with that stone. It was heavy. You would think about if you were ghost lifting as something simple as, say, a can heel, and you would think that it would be heavy. This feels, very, very light. So, imagine if you were a ghost and you were trying to grab onto it without your fingers going through it. That kind of thing. Like you're trying to grab light that shows up on a towel in a certain place and position. Let's see here. Allie did not let her excitement break her concentration. She held her will in the palms of her hands along with that stone. It was heavy. It was perhaps the heaviest thing she'd ever lifted, but she did not feel the weight in her muscles. This was a weight she could feel in her soul, and the strain was so great she felt her spirit would tear apart. Slowly she moved toward the hunter, and the goons backed away. "Here's your stone," she said. He held out his hand, and she brought her hands over his. The stone lingered in her hands only an instant longer, and it fell right through them, and into the hunter's open palms. He closed the palm around it. "Very good. A skill is best revealed when one has no choice but to show it, by experience and accident," is what he's saying. "Free my friends. 5 years of study," the hunter said. "What? You have shown your skill. Now you must develop it and discover what other skills you have, because where there is one skill, there are more. Study with me for 5 years, and then I shall free your friends from their barrels." Ellie took a step back. This wasn't our agreement. The hunter showed no expression. "I said I would free them. I never said when." This time, instead of coming up, and, it's hard to imagine a little kid, saying these things and in this way, and doing this. It's just, it's really, really interesting when there's a character that doesn't look like no harm at all, and then they turn out to be like the villain of the whole thing, like in the Lion and the Witch in the Wardrobe. Remember 3 times the charm. One time, get him by, and the other time. So anyway, Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe, the villain. I think that you've all seen the movie. I think that you've all seen it before. It's been a while, but the character, didn't appear to be, villain, was actually nice, person, but she actually was. So that's really, really interesting. You know. And it's also interesting when someone who appears to be the villain is not. Anyway. Let's see. So, this time, instead of coming up with the clever, okay, that's the bookmark, well thought out approach to the situation, she found herself lunging for the hunter, which of course did no good because his goons were there to hold her back. Those strings seemed unnatural, even for Everlost spirits, and in a moment she found out why. In her struggle, she grabbed at the scarf covering one of their faces, and what she saw terrified her. She should have known something was wrong from the beginning. If afterlights all wore the clothes they died in, what would the chances of finding a team of goons all shrouded in black? These weren't afterlights at all. They were shells. When Ellie peeled back the scarf from their face, she saw nothing behind it, just cloth curving around the back of the head that did not exist. Ellie screamed, reached for the other faces, and one after another she revealed them as empty, soulless soldiers. This trick was part of the hunter's skill, wrapping clothes around empty air, creating soldiers out of nothing. The more Ellie screamed, the louder the hunter laughed. Handless gloves gripped her tightly and carried her to the door. "Come back when you are ready to learn," the hunter said. Then they pulled open the heavy iron door and hurled her out into the street, slamming the door behind her. Very, very interesting, and also very hard to imagine. Very, very hard to imagine. So let's see here. Moving on. She tried to push herself up on her elbows, but found she couldn't, and realized she was sinking in the middle of the living world street. If you're not on, solid, everlast ground, and you stay there for like 3 minutes or so, you sink. It's just as scary as, standing out in a driveway, and if you stand too long, then there'll be an attraction to, like, say bees. It's generally the same idea and the same level of, being afraid. Same level of fear. So let's see. So she struggled to free herself, but only became more deeply embedded in the asphalt, which seemed more like tar trying to take her down. A garbage truck rolled over her, its wheels rolling straight through her head like it wasn't there, and it only made her angrier. It only made her angrier, remember that. Angry enough that one of the wheel tires blew as it crossed through her. It's getting somewhere. The truck slammed on its brakes and pulled over to the side of the street up ahead. Did I blow out that tire? She thought. But if she did, she didn't care, not now. With a heavy force of will, she pulled herself upright. Now standing waist deep in the asphalt, she worked her legs and pressed with her hands until she had pulled herself out of the street. She ran to the door of the hunter's lair. For a quick moment she forgot that it was not a living world door, and slammed into it with full force, as if she could pass through it. She bounced off the solid steel, almost landing back in the street. She pounded on the door over and over, ramming her shoulder against it. She tried to climb in through windows, but they were eternally blocked with security bars that had crossed into Everlost along with the rest of the building. For hours she had tried to find a way in, and by dawn she was no closer to freeing her friends than she had been when she started. As the jet dark sky became the motley gray of a stormy morning, the rain turned to slate, and the pinpricks of rain passing through her became sharp darts of ice. Discomfort, but not pain, never pain, which only fed her rage. This dead, not dead state robbed her of the right to feel with her body, her own body, and that made her anguish of her soul all the more severe with the whole situation of been happening. Come back when you're ready to learn, the haunter had said, but Owly already knew she would never be his student. She was no monster, and neither would she study under a monster. She would be back, though. She would come back with a force of 300 kids, Mary's kids. They would tear the place down brick by brick if they had to, until there was not even a ghost of a building. Okay, so that was that, what I call sectionitis, or section of the chapter. I really encourage you, because I did say at the beginning, it's different when you're reading something on your own versus when you're hearing me read it to you, or when you're reading Zach. And, Zach does, pretty good job, reads at a reasonable pace and, slows down. And I probably a little different than that. But, so I really hope that you got a lot out of that. I know, for those of you, it's hard to, read Nelson maybe boring, listening to me read, and you can't really, it's hard to kind of imagine, think about the story. So you're probably wondering why I'm doing that if I, think about it well. because. But so, I'm that way too. I don't care for when, someone's reading it aloud to me because I'm not that type of person. I like to feel, I like to imagine, the story and the, sequence and everything on my own. And in fact, you do a really good job at reading, and maybe you'll make an audiobook. You could make an audiobook of reading certain books. You could be, with what you're doing, and you could be an audio person. um, the recommendation, Gregor the Overlander. That's the recommendation. And also, so what I want you to do is we'll not be meeting and reading on in the next section until 2 days from now. So tomorrow, what I want you to do is, only if you feel like this sort of person. If you're a reader that's better with, being read out loud to you, then you don't need to do this. I'm not forcing you to do this, but I am requiredly recommending and imploring those people who don't care for, and struggle and didn't get what was in the book out of me reading aloud. I really suggest that you go and read it on your own, and so that way you can experience the story. You can feel the story, because I have to admit that when I'm reading out loud, it's different because I don't really, feel the story. Like I was reading it, to read it, and I wasn't really feeling anything. So when you read it on your own, there's no one, kind of the distraction of reading it out loud. It's just your own mind, and you're just, sitting there. You can read at your own pace. You're not rushed. You can slow down and really take it in and imagine it. And that's what I want you to do, because there was some exciting stuff happening in that little section. And I want you to go read that on your own tomorrow, okay? Because that is really what I believe in, and that is really what I wanted you to do, okay? So it's against my beliefs of going too quickly and then rushing you, not allowing you the time to, slow down and enjoy it and really, really read the story. That is not what I believe in. When I was in English, there was several times when the teacher would have us read really, really big sections, and I had to rush and think about like work just to get it done. I couldn't sit down and enjoy the story, especially maybe it was being read aloud to me. I struggled with that, and I want to go about how what I believe in, and that's really what I believe in. So in a way, I'm giving you what sometimes I did not have, um, you know, like that. So thank you very, very much for joining me this evening. Okay, thank you very, very much for receiving the email and getting your books. I'm so thankful for that. That you got those. Okay. And also, I don't really have a whole lot. But yeah. And I would say, also one thing, I want to get the Minton back down here because I want to make this announcement. Would you go inform them up there to bring them down, please, and thank you. Okay, now one thing I completely forgot about. Right now that I hopefully am not coming across obsessed with, or likability down, that inappropriate road I don't want to go down. But that Zach Callison, I'm putting a lot of my energy and my time and the effort, into things having to do with him. Kind of, in a wonderful way, of course, took over cancer season. which is kind of like a negative. It's not, Cancer is not, really, really interesting to me. We will probably be different, but so anyway, he understands this is going to be a long, boring, difficult stay for you here at Corning. So he actually on my page, you brought things to occupy yourself with, and different activities. But I gave him permission to get into my page, and he set up like a little folder, because it just looks like Power School. Just looks just like it. So just a little tab with an arrow into it. It said Zach Callison Corning Activities. That's what it is titled, and the name is in uppercase. Both Zach and Callison. I wonder why I even said that. So Zach Callison Corning Activities, you'll find on that very, very first page that there is a little video from Zach Callison, and he was making a video to all of the Amintons, since I had special talking lessons, and all the sessions. I told him about the whole history of the Aminton, the Lawrence Welk and Pyle Sunday, how it all works together, so he knows it very, very well. And so he made a video, which was a trailer into, all of the activities, like, it kind of, he actually, very, very good with technology. He starts out, talking, saying, Corning, this, what I've said before to you about being long and difficult, whatever. And so, and then he talks about, and then he shows you what the pages look like that he made on a Screencastify. So on the very, very first page, you'll find a list of all of the little different activities and all of the different genres and all the different categories broken down for you and organized on there, just as the criteria and information for the Cancer Club is. Then, on all of those pages, like you click the arrow, is the different, the different categories. So music is one page. History is another page. And then the other page was, acting. And the other page was acting. So music, first of all, history and culture, I forgot about the culture, and then acting, those 3 pages. Okay, I know that you can go in, and there was videos that he made, just a couple little videos. Okay, so that first one's the only one that you made. Okay. Well, you were talking. Okay, so on the music page, I just want to kind of, spoil what the video is going to be. But, of course, I, found out what he set up, and he's so good with the technology and everything. So on that first page, on the music page, there was all the songs, videos, the poetry, the lines with the song, with the story, with the themes, and really with the emotional messages of each of his songs that are appropriate and clean, and not rated R me. Then on the history page, getting into Charles Peiser, remember, that musical that we're making. So what he does is he put his songs on there. He put the Phantom Love. Another song is Like a River, and then there was Curtain Call, and then Christy Only Knows, and then Familiar, and all the songs on there. So then, on the history page, he actually put in, made a little article of Charles Peiser, like a little biography on Charles Peiser, and also 1800s history and culture on there. Those videos about that and readings about that, like little links on that of different websites. And also, as goes for the Charles Pizer, who I am talking about right now. Let's see here. So, yes. And then also, information about the history and about the plot, really, and the really, true sequence and unanswered questions, and highlight into, um, the character Chuck, and um, basically off of um, information written on that. Okay, so then the last page, acting. So there's actually a little article put on there about acting and the history of it and the actual technique of it, and how do you become an actor. There's also a little interview. There's also a little, this like a little biography video that you made. Actually, it's like another screencast. Um, showing an image of him while he was talking about his career as being an actor. So that is all that is on there. I hope that you find a lot of things on there to occupy yourself. Okay, he has all the different little activities and articles and videos set up for you. So wonderful. So we really want to thank him for that. Kudos, and it's definitely a great opportunity. So go on there, check that out. Also, if you haven't, go on his channel, the Zach Callison Topic channel, and you'll find Aladdin, One Jump Ahead on there. You'll also find The Place Where the Lost Things Go, and then Whistling in the Dark. Whistling in the Dark, and Picture Perfect Hollywood Heartbreak. And then there's some songs removed for that, for them not being appropriate. Whatever. So let's see. So that song as we talked about, and then separate from that is The Place Where the Lost Things Go, and then Aladdin. That's all we have recorded right now. And that's all we went to the Mention headquarters and did together. So also, there is, I completely forgot about that. Since I'm telling the Mention about it, why don't I just tell it? So there's another page about, oh, is that included on there? Okay. So, yeah, it's a video about the full length. And part of it, he talks about his bandwagon. Remember, you saw that little video where he toured around the, the bandwagon, the tour and everything. That's a part of that video with, we're touring with Nate Wants a Battle. I have no idea what that even means, but if I were doing the video, I would say we're touring, with another great tour of Jolly Get Your Dolly On. Such a goofy name. Jolly Get Your Dolly On. So funny. So, yes, that is all that I want to talk to you about. Also, I recommend, for musical entertainment, Leonard Choral, and also make sure on my page, I have a tab that I was making, and it's called Astrology During Corning. And what's going to be happening is it's going to I actually have, so that's what it's called, and then there's actually a tab under there. It says Astrological Mix-Up, which I might actually cancel plans for that. It had the reading, the PDF of the different sections of the book and everything, and that's really all it has on it right now currently. and also a couple little discussion questions about the different sections. For Cancer Clubus, and then Leo, Gemini Clubus as well. And then there's another page that says Leo Clubus. And I put a couple of things on there. I said, welcome to Leo Clubus. And I'm going to be putting a video on there, which is Cosmic Sounds. And I also put down on that page for you the introduction section, the PDF of it, broken down into different parts, highlighted, underlined the important details for you to see. So I've just started to make that. I just want to go over that. I think there was a lot of information coming at you. Okay, so if I left out anything because I say things and then I don't really, I'm not scripted. I don't plan out exactly what I'm going to say. But that's just kind of the basics of it. It's all on there for you to see. And I might have, forgotten about something that I wanted to mention or thought of something, after I'm done with this. But that's just me. That's just everybody. Okay, I'm not a human machine. I'm not a robot. So anyway, thank you very, very much for coming and taking the time and effort to come down here. You now can get going back to your Edmonton building, okay? Get settled in, wind down, have a wonderful evening, and have a wonderful good night's rest. Watch TV shows, spend some time and sleep with your clones of your Zach Callisons. Okay, I use your name in the plural. Yes, that is the original. Okay? And I will look forward to see you tomorrow. And Cancer Clubus, I'm going to be attempting to have that tomorrow. Gemini Clubus, out of the question. Cancer Clubus, maybe, but I don't know. So we're going to see about it. But Leo Clubus, remember, if you're planning to join that first meeting on Wednesday, and that's a day before the sun is going to move into Leo, but the moon's going to be in that sign as well. Even though I don't have it in my chart, it's still fire, it's still like Aries. I think they'll be very, very fun. So, and actually you're going to be, putting a lot into the Leo season. You're going to be, as you said, in the clubus, helping with the songs and everything, and arrangements, because you have your moon in Leo. I have my moon in Libra, so I was born during the full moon. Yep. So wonderful. So all of you can leave, okay? And have a good night.